I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. So
All right, man.
Let's make it happen.
All right. All right. Hey, this is Michael Janda. I'm here with Mario Quezada. We are going to talk about self-care for creatives.
Self-care for creatives. I think one of the things that creatives overlook is definitely their self, their physical, their mental, their spiritual well-being. And I think that as creative individuals, the most paramount thing we can do is take care of that piece of ourselves that helps us to be creative and be healthy and be energetic and kind of get into that flow state as much as possible. So we've got to do everything we can to do that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that you touched on a few things that I want to chat about. The
Sure.
first one, as creatives, there is a large contingent of us that like to stay up all night, that like to burn the midnight oil, that like to play video games for hours on end, that neglect good eating, that suck down Red Bull all afternoon, and all these kinds of things that are kind of common in the creative industry, can be problematic when it comes to generating creativity and being on top of your game and hitting your deadlines and things. So I think that there's a real balance in how much fun do we have in the non-self-care things and how much do we need to focus on self-care.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is needed for kind of creative regeneration, right?
Yeah.
And video games and things that those things bring about ideas and whatnot. But video games in and of themselves are kind of innocuous. They're fun. They're great. But video games, 8, 7, 12 hours a day gets unhealthy. So it's really about that term balance gets thrown around a lot, but it's really about that harmony of taking care of yourself. You need a creative boost. Is a video game going to be that creative boost you need? Then awesome, but give yourself a time limit. Play for half an hour. Half an hour I think is fine. Don't get lost in mindless 5 hours of whatever game you're playing, because it's not going to do anything for you in the long run.
Yeah. So you mentioned balance, and a lot of times when we talk about balance, we're talking about people talk about, I work this much and I play this much. That's the balance that people talk about. And when I talk about balance, or when I think about balance, I think about balancing, you mentioned these in the start of this video, balancing your physical health with your mental health, with your emotional health. You're balancing some of these elements that you have in your life. And, that's where we get out of balance a lot of times, where we, playing video games. I don't want this video to be about video games, but it's a good example. I mean, Netflix is the same thing. You can stream 7 seasons of a show straight through, just sucking down popcorn, and it's out of balance with some of the physical needs that you have. So I think it's about balancing all of these components of our lives to find some overall wellness.
Yeah. And it's not a one-to-one thing. It's not like about, I can play half an hour of video games and now I have to consume a half an hour of good content. It's not a one-to-one thing. If your health is at a place where your physical fitness is really important to you, then you may need a little bit more physical activity to kind of keep yourself kind of in that zone in your flow state. If you are an avid reader, if you're an avid podcast junkie, and you get a lot of your ideas and creativity from that, then you need to I use more of the term harmony, because there's no like one-to-one comparison, right? It's not like a seesaw where you put this much time here and I can have this much output. It's really about what do you need to do your best, to be at your optimal best. It's about kind of knowing yourself so well that you need, like for myself, and I'm sure for you, Mike, we need to get out there, probably bank some weights, throw some, hammers around, whatever it is. But we need to be active, because that, for me, it releases endorphins. It gets my mood up. And when my mood's up, I'm more apt to be really creative, and it frees up so many other things for me to just be in that flow state right away. And I want to get into that flow state as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's really good. And you can go on the flip side of that and go way too far on those things. Like when I was growing my agency, my stress level was super high, and going to the gym every morning was a way to manage the stress. But then I got into my early 40s, and all of a sudden my joints started to hurt, and I couldn't run anymore because my knees hurt. My elbows, I got tendonitis in my elbows from lifting weights too much. And I had to scale back the level of weight, the quantity of days, give my body more time to recover. So being out of balance isn't just some of the things that are perceived negative. You can go way out of balance on the things that are perceived positive in the world as well. And it's just about finding, the right levels of all these things. And it helps you as a creative to produce better output if you're in harmony. I love that word, harmony. If you're in harmony with all of those elements in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think too much of anything is going to have negative repercussions at some point. If you're not a professional bodybuilder, if you're not a professional athlete, then you really don't need to be in the gym 4 hours a day. You're kind of robbing yourself of special time. It's about knowing, again, going back to it's really about knowing what you need. As opposed to what you would like it to be. As we get older, Mike, we're in our 40s, I think. I think you look not a day over 39, Mike, but
I know,
still.
Exactly. it's all the time in the gym.
But it's like we need to, as we get older, we need to know what our body really needs. We may think that we need to bang weights for 2 hours, but our body might need, an hour and a half of mobility and stretching and maybe a half an hour of dare I say, yoga or things like that, where we need to kind of reconnect with our body tissue. And we could probably outperform guys our own age because we've been doing it for so long. But my goal right now is just freedom of movement and freedom of mind, through that kind of releasing all the tension and kind of activating my central nervous system in a way that it's not overloaded, so that I can get into my work and be really efficient. I love being efficient in what I do. So whatever I can do to kind of create efficiency in my day, I will do that. And a 20-minute workout, if that gets me where I need to go, then I can release endorphins. I can feel better. I can move better. And then I'm free to do the important work that I need to do.